I bought a franchise in 1971 at the age of 24 in the training industry. So I actually started training small business owners 44 years ago, December. What I want to do is I want to take that experience and share it with you and get you ready to go home. You're not here to make a decision. We're not going to make one about you. I'm going to go through some paperwork when you get back home that you'll send back in if you want to be considered for a franchise. What I want to do in the next hour is do two very important things. I want to go back and do a review of everything you've seen since the first day we started talking to you. I don't know if you've all heard this. Most of you, I'm sure you have. 98% of what's taught in the seminar is forgotten in 16 days. So I'm going to make sure you got something to go home and study so you don't do what? Forget, all right? We could be good for you and you could be good for us, but you forget what we do. And so the second thing I want to do is I want to share with you what's our evaluation process, where do we go from here? So if you would, turn to a tab in your book called The Reasons to Become a Franchise. I couldn't put the whole tab on there. It's the reasons to become or not become a franchise. And if you would, flip past those two white pieces of paper to a yellow piece of paper where you can take some notes. I want to lay a foundation. Then I'm going to come back and do an exercise with you. We're going to do a needs analysis. I'm going to cover a lot of items. I'm going to help you validate your franchise fee when you go back home. So let me begin with a statement. If you'll all write, you're all here to make a decision about a franchise. Am I correct? Yes. All right. I'm going to change your decision. And if you would, write this down. Do I need those things that come with a franchise to build a highly successful business? Do I need those things that come with a franchise to build a highly successful business? The second statement I'm going to give you is going to help you put this together, and that's this. Building a highly successful business is the same whether it's a franchise or not. Everybody catch that? Do I need those things that come with a franchise to build a highly successful business? But building a highly successful business is the same whether it's a franchise or not. Would you all agree with me the systems are the same? They are, aren't they? And so what is it most business owners don't have?
Systems.
Systems, all right? And so I'm going to cover and go through those systems with you. I want to cover about 5 very important things. One of our goals when you came here is to make sure this is a good day, whether we move forward or not. And so what I'm about to share with you is going to be very critical to your success, even if you don't join us. So let's start with what are the critical things that you need to do to build a highly successful business. Number 1, your business needs to be built on proven systems in 10 areas, and I'm going to add the word, successful. Folks, forgive me, I'm going to be popping cough drops. There's something in the air here that I don't know what it is because I don't smoke, all right? 10 areas successful. The reason I say successful is all business owners have a system, but they're not necessarily what? Successful. I can always say, look at your business results, that's your what? That's your system, all right? And so when we talk about 10 areas, and you don't need to write these down, so we're going to talk about them. It's marketing, management, sales, finance, recruiting, training, statistical tracking, customer service, pricing, and human resources. This is how we run our business. If I need somebody else to run my business, they'll run it by the same thing. Number 2 are your business skills. I always like to call them business/executive skills. In the service industry, there are 2 types of skills, technical and service. What is it most business owners have? Technical. Which one determines the speed of the growth of a business? Executive, all right. Technical helps you do a job that satisfies a customer, doesn't necessarily grow the business. Now, why is this more important today than it was, say, 5 years ago? Technology, what else? Say again? Services, all right, what else? Information, all right.
Legal.
Say again? Legal?
The ability to
okay.
obtain.
The ability to obtain information. Because, and I'm going to show you how important this is. If I walked into most business owners today and I asked them, did you get 2 weeks of business training last year? What answer would you give? No. Year before? No. Year before? No. How many years can I go back? Almost to the day they started their company. More people today are trying to run their business on knowledge that doesn't work today. So one of the things I want you to put in your notes is that you've got to keep yourself highly trained, all right? whether you join us or not. This is an absolute to stay competitive today. Number 3. You need help along the way. All of us do. Business is more complex today than it's ever been. Would you all agree with me it's absolutely impossible for you to know everything?
Yes.
It's changing too rapidly. One of the keys to leadership, most of you have read this in leadership books, and that is you got to get people around you that know more than you in the areas that you're not strong in. Because if you don't have those people around there, your business will lose a lot of money it should have made. Number 4. I'm going to put the word focus. But I'm going to break focus into 2 areas. You would think this would be a natural for most business, but it's actually missing in most businesses. I'm going to put business, personal. You should have a 3 to 5 year business plan with what you want to accomplish, what all the obstacles and roadblocks are, what the solutions are, and a plan of action for implementing solution with target dates. How many business owners have that kind of business plan? A lot or a little? Only 20% of all small business owners have a 1 or more year business plan. How do the other 80% run their business? On the fly, seat of their pants, right? You also should have a personal goals program because this is why you're in business. You should have a 3 to 5 year personal goals program with what you want to accomplish, all the obstacles and roadblocks, what the solutions are, target dates. This one's smaller. Only 3% of the population practices written goal setting. Even Harvard University has done some studies on this. It's always come up 3%. If you've never seen this, this is why this is so important. As research shows that people that are goal-oriented are 7 times more successful by having a goal. Now stop and think about this. If a business owner doesn't have a business plan, doesn't have personal goals, what are the odds of them hitting everything they want to hit in the next 3 to 5 years?
Right now.
Pretty slim, isn't it? All right. So it's a very critical thing for the success of business. Number 5 is the toughest one. I always have, if you would, put 2 initials there, TH. TH stands for total honesty. Biggest enemy a small business owner has is who?
Themselves.
Yeah. Most of you have heard this. All businesses could be bigger if it wasn't for the existing owner, right? And so one of the most important things that everybody has to do is identify what beliefs they have that are wrong and what behaviors they have that they need to change. And I always tell everybody, nobody's exempt. You know, pushing 68 years of age, being in the training and self-improvement industry all these years, I know something. The more I learn, the more I find out I don't know. The more I grow, the more I find out I can grow. The more I change, the more I find out I can change. So one of the most important things is that you got to identify beliefs and behaviors. So let's talk about beliefs for a minute. What are some of the things that can stop a business owner from being more successful by believing wrong things? What are some of the things they can believe that are wrong?
They don't need to market.
Don't need to market?
They know.
They know?
I have to do it myself.
Ooh, I have to. That's almost a behavior too. What else?
I think adding to what the young lady just said, having come from corporate America, it goes back to the word multitasking. You can't multitask. You've got to, so you have to be surrounded by people that happen to have the talent that you don't have to bring the success. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, you know, one of the beliefs that I hear a lot of is I can't find good people. Anybody heard that? Aren't there companies all around you that have good businesses built with people? If you've never seen this study, it's interesting. It was in Business Week in 2005, Reader's Digest last year. I've actually seen it for over 20 years. And that is 80% of all people dislike who they work for. Would go to work for someone else for the same amount of money. All right? That means that 80% of all people are what? Unhappy, but they're also recruitable. All right? So saying I can't find good people is not true. Behaviors. What kind of behaviors can a person have that they need to set goals to change?
Lack of consistency.
Okay.
Lack of vision.
Lack of vision.
Organization.
Organization.
Losing optimism.
Oh boy, negative, pessimistic. You know, I've never met anybody that's really negative. I guess I have a couple. But it's somebody that's up, down, up, down, up, down. You just watch their business go up, down, up, down, up, down. All right. And staying optimistic all the time. What else? How about procrastination, complacency? Are those things? All right. One of the things I always hear that I think is interesting is I can give you a system, but you know I don't want to implement that. I don't want to implement that. Is that a behavior? All right. So remember this when you leave here. If we never, ever see each other again, whether you join us or not, you still got to do those 5 things if, and I'm going to add the word if, and only if you are committed to the accomplishment of your dreams and goals. That's all your business is a vehicle to accomplish your dreams and goals. If you're not committed to your dreams and goals and building the size of business you want to make that happen, it doesn't make any difference if you have these, does it? Now, let's talk about your choices. Could you get these from us?
Yes.
Could you go try to find one of our competitors and get them? Mm-hmm. Sure, maybe. Could you try to do it on your own? Can I just spell that myth real quick? How many of you are going to go spend a few $100,000, hire a bunch of executives to do a bunch of research to find out what doesn't work? How much money do you think we spent as a company in 34 years finding out what doesn't work? All right, very, very important. Number 4, you could literally go out and try to do it on your own, but the odds of you figuring it out by yourself is what? Pretty tough, all right? Now there's a 5th choice. 5th choice is 60% of all people make the 5th choice. What's the 5th choice? Choose to do nothing, all right? And so one of the things that's really important, if you write the word do nothing, that is the day that you compromise your future. All right, it's the day that you actually gave up on what could have happened when you compromise. So keep this in mind as you go through here. Now I want to cover one more thing before we come back into this exercise, and let's talk about money for a minute. I recognize that you have to go home and invest in a franchise fee. Most people think there's 3 special investments to get a franchise. Although they're there, I'm really going to narrow it down to 1. All right, so let's talk about a royalty. You pay us a royalty. Am I correct? All right. Or does your customer pay the royalty? Customers build into the pricing, right? Now, why do we need the royalty as a company? Continue to grow, support, training, research, development, all those other things, all right? We need the royalty, all right? But the royalty is paid for by your customer. It's built into your pricing. So is everybody okay if I take that out for a minute? The other one is a startup package. Now, a startup package would be equipment, business cards, stationery. Who has an existing business in here today? Okay. Plumbing, right? If you didn't join us, you still have to have the same kind of equipment?
Absolutely.
Anybody in this room, would you still have to have the same type of equipment to go into the industry? So although you're going to get it from our franchise, it's really so you can go in the industry, not so much special for us. So even if you didn't join us and you wanted to start a business from scratch, you still have to get this. Am I correct? Now, so what it boils down to is this. There's the decision you're making when you go back home is, do you want to invest in a franchise fee? Now, you get 2 things for the franchise fee. You get a protected territory. Please put this in your notes. We raise the prices of our franchises anywhere from 2 to 3 times every 10 years. Everybody knows April 1st what's happening here. Our franchise fees are going up, all right? Now, do you think the existing franchise is like that?
Yes.
You bet. It increases the value of their franchise. Second thing, though, and please put this in your notes, you get our proprietary systems. We spent 34 years developing and refining and continuing to develop and refine. Now, when you look at a franchise, there's 3 types of franchise investments: small, medium, and large. What we try to do as a company is have you start right now what is best for you financially and what's comfortable for you. Because you can always come back and do what? Buy more territory, right? Open another brand. So on the low end, you know, you could be in 25, 30,000, all right? Top end, year ago last fall, we had a franchise, $7 million commercial company in the electric industry, wanted to go in the residential, about $385,000 worth of territory. So we have anywhere from small to medium to large. I do want to give you our average, okay? Our average is about $50,000 for a franchise fee. Some brands it's a little lower, some brands it's a little higher, but that's an average. Now please put this in your notes. This is a one-time investment, and we're going to give you a 10-year contract. At the end of 10 years, you do not pay us another franchise fee. You pay us a $5,000 renewal fee. All right? The only time you're going to put more money in the company is if you come back and buy more territory or buy a second brand. Now, if you look at that 10 years, how much of a tax write-off can I write? How much of that can I write off over the next 10 years? All of it. All right? So everybody remember that. Please put that down. I can write off $50,000 or whatever your investment is over the next 10 years. More of it the first year because you can put in training costs. So I put 30% here because most business owners are in a 30 to 35% tax bracket. If I use the smallest one, if I write off $50,000 and I have a 30% tax bracket, how much taxes did I save over the next 10 years? 15. So what's that make my net investment? Say again? 35,000, right? Now divide that by 10 years. What is it? 3,500 a year. And most of you have heard the term "reduced to the ridiculous." That's under $300 a month to get our franchise. So everybody write this down. Can I duplicate what the Dwyer Group has for $300 a month? Very, very important for you because you got to remember this. If you're committed to building a highly successful business and you don't join us, can you do it for that? Because that's the decision you're making when you go back home. Now, if you would, turn back to those two pieces of paper. And notice there's a place for your name on there. And if you would, put your name on there. We want to get a copy of this before you leave today. And we'll make a copy of it and give you your originals back. Notice on the right-hand side that it has yes, no, or maybe. I'm going to walk you through these things very fast. And as I go through each one, come over and circle, yes, this would be of value to me. No, it would not. I'm not sure. I know when I acquired a franchise in 1971, I knew I had to make an investment and I had to validate that investment. We know that too. You got to be able to validate when you go back home the dollars. Am I correct? And so I'm going to do is we'll talk about some dollars and cents as we go through this. So let's start with number one, franchise industry. Let me ask you a loaded question. Has franchising changed the small business world?
Yes.
Absolutely. 54% of all retail business in the country is done by small business. All right? The other 46% is done by big box stores, internet companies, et cetera. Am I correct? Today, Robert shared this with you, franchising does about 43% of the retail business in the country. All right? If you want to see how it's growing, all right, all you have to do is look at the last 8 years. 1,400 franchise companies like the Dwyer Group have started in the last 8 years. It's predicted 1,000 franchise companies will start in the next 5 years just like us. All right? So you got all these franchise companies in to compete with the independent business owner. So what happens to the independent business owner if they don't do the same things franchise companies are? Yeah, they get squeezed out. All right? Let me just give you an example, if I may. When I show you this, what I call a small business shift, and you notice on the right-hand side it says small business shift, if you'll circle that. There's been a small business shift. It's been going on since 1955. Ray Kroc, when he found the McDonald's brothers, started a revolution. But if most of you aren't old as I am, I still remember seeing my first Burger King when I was stationed in the Navy. I remember when I saw my first McDonald's. But back in 1955 was McDonald's, Holiday Inn, Howard Inn, Kentucky Fried Chicken. All right, all those companies were around. So franchising really took off. But anybody like to guess when franchising started? 1855. No. Close. Singer. Singer started franchising back then. And so franchising has been around a long time. What it has is had this dramatic growth dramatically over the last several years. So let's talk about some of the shifts that we've all seen. It'll make you really see how dominant franchising has become. All right? Franchising last year provided 40% of all employment in the small business world, over 8 million people. So, anybody remember the old gas stations that used to fix cars? 100,000 of them closed from 1970 to 1980. Almost all of them are gone today. I always say there's a few more in Canada, but they're leaving too. Would you all agree with me they sold gas and fixed cars? Would you all agree with me that convenience stores sell gas today? How many of those are franchises? Yeah. They say all of them. They have a lot of company stores, but they also franchise. Shell down in Houston has company stores and they franchise. How many of you know Shell owns Jiffy Lube? All right. And so, who took over the car repair business? Now, before you answer me, let me share something with you. I read this article last year. You think car dealers did, don't you? For 10 straight years in a row, dealership car repair has gone down. So who took over car repair? Midas, Firestone, Goodyear, Jiffy Lube, Grease Monkey. Say again? Pet Boys is it's not a franchise, but it's a big box store because Walmart and Sam's all did that. So you got the big box stores that entered into it too. How about Amco Transmissions, Cotton Man? How many of you have heard of Mako? Painted 46% of all cars last year. One franchise, all right? 20 years ago, I could have come into your hometown. Top real estate firm in your hometown was named by its owner. What's the top real estate firms in your hometown called today? Remax, Prudential, Caldwell Banker. Say again? Kelly Williams. All right. Century 21. We can go on and on. Who dominates real estate today? Franchise companies. All right. It's hard to compete. How about anybody remember the old barber shops where men used to go get their hair cut? Now you'd like to think that beauty salons picked it up, but they didn't. Picked up some of it. But who took up over almost all men's hair repair cutting? Super Cuts, Great Clips, Pro Cuts, Sports Clips is down here in Austin. Remember the old hardware stores that used to be around? Ace, in other words, before Ace came around and really grew, all these independent hardware stores, all of a sudden Lowe's and Home Depot showed up. Am I correct? They had to be able to compete, have buying power in national advertising, so they all became who? Ace, True Value, all right? There's a couple more out there. And so they had to be able to have that compete. I can go on for industry after industry after industry. Please write this in your notes. Franchising is now in over 300 industries, and less than 15 years ago it was in 75. So one of the most important things that I always try to share with people is that when you leave here, if you never join us, all right, you still got to do everything on this page because the marketplace has changed. Does that make sense? And so you can't get away by building a business not doing and making up all the changes and all the things required to compete today. Next thing on your list is national brand and image. All right. Do people like to buy from unknown or known?
No.
Yeah. When you take big box stores and you take franchising and combine those, there's where your two national names come from. They're the ones that dominate the industry today. And just to show you an example, we're driving down the interstate. It's time to stop tonight and find a hotel. Are we looking for Fred's? Are we looking for what? Say again? Fred and Mary's. Holiday Inn, Comfort Inn. All right. Just start thinking of all the brands out there on hotels. They're still mom and pop shops, aren't they? But they changed to have a national brand because people, when they go on shop on the internet, are looking for the national brands. So a very important part. So when you look at national brand, remember that the two major organizations as an independent you're going to compete against are the big box stores and the franchise companies. And when you recognize that people prefer to buy from national brands, when you become a franchise, all you're doing is lining your business up with what? Where people like to shop. Next thing on your list is cross-marketing. Can you go across the street and ask your number one, find yourself 4 or 5 competitors that are doing the same thing that you're doing, have the same morals and ethics, and have the same system to do business with? No. What we have is that you can cross-market with all of our franchises. So remember that. Now I want you to write the word down, synergy. I'd like for you to write synergy down on number 11 too. Everybody catch that? Synergy on number 3, synergy on number 11. Our franchises cross-market. In other words, if you're going into an area where there's other franchises, you can meet the other franchises. A lot of them do trade shows together, work off each other's customers list, refer business to each other. We're one of the few companies in the United States where our franchises have the same system and the same customer. so you can cross-market with each other and help each other grow your brands. I know franchises that meet once a month, some that meet once a quarter to help each other grow their business. And so when I say synergy, synergy is something that we do. And synergy comes with customer service. So what I want you to remember on synergy is that when we're doing a customer phone call behind your team, we're introducing what? Your brand. So if you're going in an area where there's other franchises, we're already making phone calls, and when you sign up, you're going to start getting introduced to those same people that are doing business with other ones. We've been able to generate a lot of referrals with synergy. Number 4, marketing. Let's not talk about internet for a minute. A couple questions. Since most business owners don't price right, what kind of marketing budget do they have? How important is it to have the right marketing budget today? It's absolutely imperative, all right? And so if you don't price right, you can't ever have the right marketing budget. So one of the most important things I'd like for you to put a note here is that this is the key to growth today, is having the right marketing budget. Without that, you're never going to get done what you want to get done. Now, anybody want to know what the second biggest mistake most business owners make in marketing? They only use 3 to 4 to 5 marketing techniques. Yellow pages, word of mouth, saw your ad in the restaurant, saw your sign in the yard, saw your van. How many marketing techniques do you have to use today to compete? Yeah, and Chris said it right, dozens, all right? So all of our franchise, if you write this down, have a multitude of marketing techniques that we've developed. Quite frankly, a lot of them don't cost you much, and they're there to help you get your business. Most business owners today are losing a phenomenal amount of money because they're not using a multitude of marketing techniques, and I'm still not talking about the internet yet. Next thing on your list is, and we'll talk about national internet sites, social media, YouTube videos. We have a really good relationship with Google. They spoke at our annual convention this year. We go out there and work with them. And they gave a great presentation. I thought it was interesting that 4 out of 5 people shop for these kind of services on the internet. All right? 60 to 70% of those people prefer to do business with somebody that has videos. All right? So what's the biggest problem with most business owners with their internet site?
No videos.
No videos? What else?
It's not stable.
It's not stable, not kept up to date. They don't do enough SEO, search engine optimization, to make it work. So say again? Slow to recontact. So remember, we have a national internet site. We also help you manage your internet site. We have a 45 to 50 person marketing team here that works on helping build the national brand. So one of the things I want you to put in here is that on the national internet site that we're doing a lot of things to promote our brands for you. All right? So as an independent business owner, will that ever happen for you? You're not going to promote it nationally, are you? It's like Dina being on Undercover Boss, doing a lot of other things like that. And so we help you with our franchise. We do a lot of training on social media. We do YouTube videos. We put them out for you. And so today you have to do YouTube videos or some type of video to get people to engage on your website. A couple things I really want you to think about. All right? If I take marketing and internet, should you have a marketing expert today working for your company? Yes. What do they cost per year? Part-time, what do they cost?
A lot.
A lot. Okay. So write this down that I'm getting a marketing specialist to work with, and I have a marketing team behind them that you're working with and have access to if there's something that you need to know or learn, but you have a point of contact with your brand. And so this is a very important part because it saves you how much money? Yeah. I mean, even if you could hire a part-time marketing expert, an internet expert for $25,000 a year, that's $250,000 in 10 years, all right? But whether you joined us or not, should you be doing that? Yeah, it's not an option, all right? Next thing is SEO, national, local. We help you and do your SEO on a national basis. We help you do it on a local basis. We're always working on your social, your search engine optimization to maximize the performance to help drive more business to you. And so remember these two things that you're getting put together just for you from us, and we're able to do that because of the royalty. You're not having to go out here and spend that money yourself. Next thing, number 7 is national exposure. Would you underline Dwyer system accounts? I like to call this national accounts, but we call them system accounts because some of the accounts that we go out and market to are regional, some are national. But we do have a designated team out marketing to national companies today And so I'd like for you to write this down, another small business shift. I took a call a little over a year ago from the head of a company. They had 800 stores. And he said, I'm tired. And I asked him why he was calling us. And he said, I'm tired of working with 800 independent business owners. He said, I want to work with one company that I can call and let them dispatch it to their team. So you've got another shift going on. And so one of the things that we do on our national exposure, we're out marketing companies. We do have a few of our companies into Home Depot. We're in a lot of the national life insurance companies with Rainbow. And so we've got this going on all the time to help land business for you. Next thing is sales systems. Is sales important to the success of a business? By the way, if I showed you more benefit than $300 a month, up to where we are more business owners losing more than $300 a month without these things? This is a big one right here. Okay, put a star beside sales. Sales is important because it determines closing ratios and determines that when you're in front of customers, how many jobs you get. So, would you all agree with me sales is important? Okay. If I walked into most business owners and asked them, how much professional sales training do you have, what answer would I get? None. Okay. But it's absolutely imperative today. So, there's 3 things that you must build into your company. I want to share them with you. Number 1 is you must have a phone sales system. What we call it is a high phone capture rate. You've got to have a proven phone sales system that has a high phone capture rate. Who answers most business owners' phones today? I wish that was true. That's number 2.
Office secretary or...
He says office secretary. No? Say again? Voicemail. Okay. We have a society of impatient society today. Am I correct? When you call and they don't answer, what are they doing? Going on. All right? And so please write this down. I must answer my phone live. Then I must have somebody trained how to take that call and turn it into an appointment. Do you know how much money business owners are losing right here? You know, if you just had an average $750 job per day that you miss because you're not answering the phone live and having people trained, do you know how much money that is? It's over $500,000 in 10 years. And most business owners are losing more than that. Next thing on your sales system is your add-on sales. Add-on sales. Please remember this. Don't leave here thinking that we believe in selling stuff to people they don't need. That is not what we believe. What we do believe is what? Looking for things that people need or want. All right? In other words, who's here looking at heating and air conditioning? Okay? Is there anything that you just can't... Isn't there almost any heating and air conditioning you can upgrade and improve? You bet. Isn't there a new thermostat coming out that will have better quality control every 6 months? So there's so many things that you can do and offer a customer. So what we look for is we train our people to look, all right, for things that people need and people want. What does that do to your bottom line if you can pick up just every few customers, you pick up an extra $30, $40, $50 per job? Yeah, just a tremendous amount of money. Then here's the third one, closing ratios. How easy is it to find an employee that knows how to close sales? So you've got to have a system they follow. So write that down. They have to have a system that follows to help improve closing ratios. Now, when we talk about losing money, I'm not answering the phone right. I'm not getting in front of people right. I don't have add-on sales. My closing ratios aren't as good as they should be. How much money did I just lose in 12 months? A lot or a little? A lot. Next thing on your list, statistical tracking. A big one. We've taught on this for years. We know what your statistics should look like, but I'm going to just share with you an example. If I walked into most business owners today and I asked them, how many times your phone ring? What was your phone capture rate? What was your average closing ratio? What was your average job? What answer would I get? All right. Should I know?
Yes.
Okay. Why should I know?
Past performance.
Past performance?
Future success.
Okay. Statistics show me where my business isn't operating right. If it isn't operating right in 4 or 5 areas, do you know how much money I'm losing? So one of the things that we know is what the statistics of your business should look like. We're looking at them as well as looking at your financials so that we can help you stay on top and bring the most of the bottom line that you should. Next thing is research and development. How much research and development does the average business owner do? 0, right? And so how important is research and development to stay competitive?
Vital.
We don't pretend to do all your research and development. But we do look at three things, and I want you to write them down. Number one, we're always looking and testing profit centers. A lot of those ideas come from our franchises. And so we'll test them with our franchises. Many times we'll tweak them, and then we'll bring it out to the brand. So we're always out here looking for profit centers so that you can bring more to the bottom line. Number two, we're always looking for industry changes. In other words, when you see things shift in the industry, then you're going to have to make changes in your system. So we're always looking at improving our system, which drives the third thing, and that is we're always changing and improving our training. Now stop and think about how important are those three things to the success of a business. Of making sure you're staying on top of the changes. I read an article 2 years ago that said the average business owner is 2 years behind what's going on in the marketplace. When they find out about a product or service, it's already been out there 2 years because they're not doing any what? Research and development. Next thing on your list, customer service and delivery. How important is customer service today? Okay. Put 2 stars there. It is the only reason you are in business, to get and keep customers. If I asked most business owners what their customers thought of them, what would they say? Okay, right? They love me? Pretty good. How do they know? If they don't track it. All right. So let me share with you some things about customer service, and I'll share this. This is from the customer service tracking corporations. When people are unhappy with your service, and we will have unhappy customers, am I correct? Correct. Sure. When you have unhappy customers, only 4% will call you. 96% are not going to call you. So if you don't have a phone follow-up system behind your team, what is it you're losing? Yeah. Loyalty. You ever seen a business plateau off but put on new customers last year? Means they lost more than they what? They're putting in. So customer service isn't an option. It's really why you're in business, to get and keep customers. Now, their research shows this. 75% of these customers can be saved if I have a system to follow up on them. All right? Now, this is what's interesting. 4 years ago, they used to tell, a bad, unhappy customer told 8 to 10 people. 4 years ago, it went to 10 to 12. All right? What's it going to be in the future? Okay. Can you afford not to have outstanding customer service today? It's not an option. And so that's why I had you write synergy here. Did everybody get a little bit of exposure today of synergy? All right. Synergy is, if you've never read the book, I encourage you to read. It's called The Ultimate Question 2.0. And this gentleman had done a lot of research on highly successful companies, found out what they did, documented a system, and I'm not sure of the exact percentage, but somewhere around 50 to 60% of all companies over $60 million are now doing Net Promoter Score. I truly believe that one day you're going to walk into companies and they're going to ask you what? What's your Net Promoter Score? All right? And so they're going to have to go outside and do it. We do it for you. All right? And so if you had to go out and hire an outside organization to follow up on your customers and your team, how well they did, what would it cost you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of money. So here's what synergy shows you. It shows you how well your inside sales rep did, how well your technician did, and their overall experience. This is a critical thing because all of a sudden you see a technician with low scores, what are you going to do? Some people say, I'm going to fire them. No, retrain them. That's the right answer. All right? And if they don't take the retraining, we then replace them, right? And so this is a very important part. If you calculate what this would cost you to do, and it is coming, and it's coming fast all across the nation on this, that you're going to have to do it in the future, whether you do it with us or not. Next thing is recruiting. Would you write the word lower turnover? Why do most people leave an employer?
They don't feel appreciated.
Don't feel appreciated, unhappy, all right? Money, all right? Most people won't leave for money. They'll leave because of the boss, am I correct? So we know that you're going to have turnover, but how well you're trained determines turnover. So if you just write lower turnover. Our goal is to help you have lower turnover, but we know you're going to have it. So we give you some tools. We do training on how to recruit, how to interview, Interviewing is really critical. We even have vendors for profiling, so you can profile and see if they fit your team, how they need to be trained and managed. And how you train and manage has a lot to do with turnover. And so we provide those tools to you. Anybody ever seen the cost of a turnover of a technician? $26,000. So how many do you want to lose in the next 10 years? As little as you can, all right? So the goal is to make sure you have the tools to help have lower turnover. Next thing on your list. Everybody keeping up yes, no, and maybe so we can get a copy of this? Management system for quality of life. Two things you've learned about us today and have before you got here is our goal as a company is to help you make more money and take more market share. Now we have another goal, and that's to make sure you have a good quality of life. Why don't most business owners have quality of life? Always working, all right? Is that a symptom or a problem?
It's a problem.
All right. It is a problem, but it is caused by a symptom, right? And so it's because they don't have time, all right? Now, I know this has been shared with you today, but I really do want you to write it down. Most business owners build a business around themselves and not around systems. That's why they don't have time. One day, if you want kids to run your business, the average kid who takes over their dad's business usually goes out within 3 to 5 years. Because when dad left, what left? The system. It wasn't built in the company, it was in dad's head. All right? And so, how do you get more time? Number one, your business has to be built on proven systems so somebody else can run it. Now, please put this down. If you ever have a goal to be a multi-franchise owner, I know you know that a lot of our franchises have 2, 3, 4 franchises. One of our largest glass doctor has 20 locations. So, number one, you got to have this built. And then number two, you're going to hire or groom a manager to run your business. You're going to send them down to Waco for franchise training so they understand the business just like you do. They're going to work with our home office. So when you go to Europe for 6 weeks, who's running your business? Manager. By what? And when they have a problem, who do they call? Home office, not you, all right? And so this is a very important part that we do. I love this. Every time you watch somebody join us who has no time at the annual convention, you'll hear people get up and say, I finally just started having more time to do the things I wanted. But that's why we're in business, isn't it? It's to create the lifestyle we want. Next thing on your list is relationship with franchisees, underline networking. You know, folks, I don't believe you put this down as a reason to become a franchise, but in a year, you will put it down as one of the top 3. Can you go across the street and ask your number one competitor what they're doing better than you and have them tell you the truth? No, all right? Here you've got franchises all over North America that you can get on an airplane and go visit, get on the phone. We have an intranet you can talk to them. Maybe there's a service that they provide that you want to learn how to do. And so you will get as much, when we do our regional training meetings and all of everything else, you're going to get as much from them as you do from us. It's one of the greatest assets that people have by being part of a team. Now, why are they going to help you? You're all together. They're not your competitor. You're building a national brand together. You're helping build your business and make it worth more money. Next thing on your list, recognition. I know a lot of business owners don't like recognition, so would you please write this down for my team too? Does your team like recognition? We have a program called Top Gun. Oh, for 12 months, your team and yourself can compete for national awards for Franchise of the Year, Technician of the Year, Manager of the Year. We give these awards away at our annual convention, and we give them away for 3 days. The first night, we have a major awards program for the big awards, and we give trophies away about that tall for Franchise of the Year. Even people fly in from international to compete for the international awards. You get to get recognized among your peers. And last year we had 1,800 people in a room having dinner for the awards banquet. And so you really get a lot of recognition. I always tell people this: go back and do free press releases off of this, because you get a lot of free advertising off of it. But most of all, do you think your team likes it? Absolutely. Next thing on your list, success principles for a balanced life. Let's go back up here to this diagram. Your goal is to have a better quality of life by having more time. One of the other keys to quality of life, please write this down, the word balance. You've got to make sure you take care of all 6 areas of your life, physically, mentally, spiritually, family, financially, socially, as well as business. Why should I keep my life balanced? Sane. Say again?
Otherwise you teeter.
You teeter, right? If one area is off, will it hurt the other ones?
Yes.
Absolutely. About 3-4 years ago, I had a gentleman sitting right here, and he came back. He lost his company because he had a heart attack at 32. He was working 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. So what was he eating? Junk food, not taking care of his health. And it destroyed him as business. And he came down to look at us to start a business the right way. So one of the most important things is you're looking at balance, all right? And the only way to keep balance, and please write this down, is having a personal written goals program. And I have the word written in all 6 areas of your life that you track on a weekly and monthly basis. Now let me test you the 98% that's forgotten in 16 days. What percentage of people practice goal setting? 3. Right answer. So this is so important to us. This is the first class that you go through when you come to Waco. Dina does a class called Design Your Life. Is this not why you're in business? So Dina takes people through this class and get them started. Dina's even done videos so you can share it with your team to help them set goals and grow. Somebody give me a dollar value on this one. Yeah. Next thing on your list, preparing for future competition. Just write this down. Big companies coming in the service industry. There's consolidators coming in. How many of you know Walmart did their first heating and air conditioning pilot program? How many of you know Direct Energy bought 3 franchise companies? Home Depot bought 3 franchise companies. They're moving in the service industry. The only reason I'm bringing that up is this. How good do you have to be to compete against them? Yeah. Don't wait till they come. In other words, I always tell people, whether you join us or not, still get this done, built into your company because you're going to have to compete against more of them in the future. Next thing, better pricing for profit. Almost all business owners price wrong. How come? Too low. But why do they price wrong?
They don't know the market.
Don't know the market, don't know the numbers. Would you all agree with me? Because they don't know. Okay. It's interesting when people come here, how much they'll increase their prices. All right. And I want you all to write this down. This is from me to you. You don't price right, your business will never be right. You don't price right, your business never. And let me share with you what that means. You'll never pay the salary yourself you want and have a lot left over to invest. You'll never be able to hire and pay the highest commissions and find the best technicians. You'll not have the right marketing budget. You'll never be able to do a 401 or a health insurance contribution if you're not pricing correctly. All right? If you've never read this book, let me give it to you. It's called Full Price, Fullprice. You can go on Amazon and order it. The author's name is Tom Winninger, Winninger. And I think it's interesting because he talks about some statistics out of his book, and I'm going to share them with you. 17% of the population, 17% of the population is not price conscious. 23% of the population is price conscious. 27% are more price conscious. 3 to 33% are less price conscious. Where should you be marketing? Up here. Where do most business owners market? Here. Now, if you're down here marketing and everybody's a price shopping, what kind of business do you have for returning business? You don't, because they're going to shop again, right? And so, write this down. One of the keys is doing demographical marketing, knowing who to market to the right people, all right? And so, that's one of the things that we teach you to do as far as who do I market to, where I'm not going to have a lot of price resistance or less price resistance when we're doing. Stop and think about this, because I have a lot of business owners that have come in here, because I've been here 20 years, come in here and they're off $50 to $75 an hour. Billing 5 to 6 hours a day. How much money are they losing? Just phenomenal, all right? Next thing on your list, financial management guidance. If you own a business, this will be worth your time to Waco, all right? I used to be the vice president of a company called GBS and E.K. Williams. We were an accounting franchise. We worked with 50,000 business owners a month. We did their financials, but we went back and did counseling. What I loved, was how we got business. We'd walk into a business owner and ask them, is your business lined up to the financial industrial averages of the companies that make the most money in your industry? What answer did we get? No. Anybody? That was one of my favorite, I don't know. My favorite answer was, what are financial industrial averages? Got that a lot. How many of them had accountants? All of them. All of them. All right, so here's what we do. We get the industrial average, and we get a copy of their P&L. We sit down and do a line item by line item review. Lined up or not lined up? Half a dozen off, 0.5%. Sometimes 3 or 4, 1%. Usually one big one in the 3 to 5% range. 7 or 8% that should have been coming to the bottom line wasn't coming to the bottom line because they didn't know what their numbers should look like. Now let me just show you something real quick. Business owner, show me who's in the room who's a business owner. When's the last time your accountant did a financial industrial average on your business? How many of you think it's lined up perfectly by accident? All right. If we don't do business together, make sure you go get one done, because I can share with you that you got some areas of business that should be coming that's not. If you join us when you come to training, we're going to do what? Show you what your financial industrial average is. By the way, we're going to do something your accountant doesn't do. We want you to make. That's why we asked you to send your P&L so we can look at your numbers to show you when you're off. All right, because you're going to get off if you're not watching your numbers. Next thing on your list: additional compatible franchise to buy. Do you ever have to get a second franchise? No. Why would you ever want more than one franchise, though? Say again? Cross-referencing. What else?
Geographics, the way you're structuring your territory.
Way you're structuring your territory?
Reservicing customers from the previous franchise.
You bet. All of our franchises have the same customer. All right? And so it's not, I just had one of the top grounds guys just finished 5-star training last week. Same customer. Going to drive business to both companies. We've had people own as many as 5 of our franchises in the same town. You can also have multiple locations. I do want you to know this. If you don't run the first one right, you won't get a second one from us. All right? Now let me give you the real answers why you want multiple franchises. Please write this down so you can attain your dreams and goals faster. I'm going to give you a second reason. So you have something, have more to sell when you're ready to exit. And I'm going to give you a third reason, which happens a lot with us. You got a lot of good friends and relatives that are stuck in dead-end jobs. You can change their life. So we have dads put their kids in business, brothers. I've had young men get their dads in business, all right? So you have this tremendous opportunity to really impact a lot of people's lives, but you have the opportunity to really build an enterprise that can sell for a lot of money one day. Next thing, increasing equity growth. What's the biggest shock all business owners have when they go to sell their business?
They're not working as much as they think.
You bet. Let me show you why. I'm going to just do this just to show you an example. Business owners, how many of you in this room have been trained how to position your company, sell for maximum dollars when you're ready to retire? Everybody look real quick. Okay. So if you don't know how to do it, what are the odds of you setting it up to do it? So one of the most important things that our goal is that if we provide you better systems, better training, better support, should your multiple increase when you're selling your business? And businesses sell on the low end of 1. If you're a single truck operator by yourself and you have no employees, your business is worth 1 times 1 your income. But it can go up to 6, 7. I've seen them go as high as 10 or 12 for exceptional businesses. One day you're going to sell your company or pass it on to your family. Am I correct? So you want to position it so you can get the most dollars out of it. That's one of our goals. 22, Pro Trade Net. Put a star here. I tell people this is worth a franchise right here if you'll use them. If you'll use them. We have 150 vendors, the Dwyer Group does, so write that down, please. Do you think we have better negotiating power as a $1 billion company than you do? You bet, all right? And so we have companies in place to cut your costs. Now, you notice I put 2 things on the side, discounts and rebates. All of them give you discounts. Some of them give you rebates, all right? And I want you to know that. And so when you're out here buying, we have companies like Ford and Chevy. Gas, 5 to 8 cents a gallon savings. Insurance companies, AT&T, Sprint. All these companies, all designed to do what? Help you bring more to the bottom line. These rebate checks are phenomenal. The guy that has 20 locations, Glass Doctor, his rebate check last year was over $160,000. And so we give these rebates out twice a year. So circle that there. This is money. You might even be doing business with some of these companies, but you won't have the discounts and rebates we have. Next thing, resale assistance. If you're married, put a star here. What happens to most business owners when the owner dies? What happens to the business? Closes, right? Because it's not set up on systems. But if the business is set up on systems and you have a manager, the business can still continue to run, or the family can sell it. All right, ladies, help me out. If something happened to your significant other and you needed help selling it, would it help if we could help you do that? Absolutely. So write down resale department. We have a resale department. We're here to help you sell your business. When you're ready to leave, or if an accident happened, we've been in business a long time, so we have people that do die, get killed, and so this is a part of our services to you. If 2 years from now you think we're the worst thing since sliced bread, we'll still help you sell your business, all right? 25 is ongoing business training. Should you keep yourself highly trained? Okay. We know most people don't, but some of you help me out from corporate America. How expensive is ongoing business training? Say again?
A lot.
It's a lot. I get two things. Every month I get something from the Kellogg School of Business and the Chicago Booth Business, and they have these 3-day workshops for marketing, sales, and all that stuff. They're $9,000. Right? I still got to fly and get there. Yes.
And some corporate companies still don't believe in training, they just expect you to know.
Just to know it, yeah. Going to magically appear, right? So one of the most important things, if you put this down on our ongoing training, we have an annual convention, we have regional training workshops, we do webinars. They're coming in the field and doing training with you, all right? Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. How much money will you save because we provide this training to you instead of you having to go out and buy it on the outside? Because I tell people, if you don't join us, you still should be doing it, all right? Otherwise, you're going to end up with a business that doesn't work that well 5 years from now. Last on there is ongoing coaching and support. Since we can't know it all, should we honestly have coaches? Okay. A good coach costs how much per hour? He said it right, depending what field. Anybody know what it is in the service industry? $250, $300 an hour. All right? And so having coaches, we're going to provide you, and I want everybody to write this down. I'm going to give you a business coach. I'm going to give you a marketing coach. And I'm going to give you a technical expert from your industry that you can work with. I'm going to give you at least three people. Then there's other people behind them on the team that can help you also. And so stop and think of the amount of money you can save right here. Now, real quick, everybody circle yes, no, and maybe, I hope. All right. This is your homework when you go back home. This is to study, to see where you're losing money. If you're starting a business, where would you lose money? How much money would I really need to put out to really do this right? Would you all agree with me that you're in business to do it right? Okay? This is how you do it right. All right? So remember that and study that when you go back home. Real quick, if you would, turn to a page in your book called The Roadblocks to Success. I want to share with you our evaluation process and where we are. Right? You do have a yellow piece of paper, am I correct? Or faded yellow. Sometimes I see white. I'd like you to draw the same diagram. You're here today, and if you draw a straight line across the top, and on the right-hand side, write the word tomorrow. Tomorrow could be a couple days from now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, all right? You're going to go home and make a yes or no decision, am I correct? Yes. You're going to be presented to a committee, and we're going to give you a yes or no decision. Let's say you like us and we like you. Does that mean we're going to get in business together? She said maybe. Can you change your mind? Can you do something that causes us to change our mind? I've made those phone calls. I said, you lost your approval. Every action you told us you do, you didn't do. So what kind of franchise are we going to get? Not a good one. Not going to follow through. So 3 things have to happen before we get in business together. Number 1, you've got to say, I'm ready to go. Give me a set of agreements. Now, when people come to Waco, they're usually in one of 3 positions. Still evaluating. Pretty sure I want to do it. Give me a set of contracts when you go home. Once in a while, people are going to come here. They've made the decision to do it. And once in a while, they'll sign the contracts while they're here. We don't ever force people to make a decision. All right? In fact, even if you're given agreements today or sign agreements today, you're still not approved until what? We present you to a committee. All right? And so, would you all agree with me? We started with a phone call. You liked us, we liked you, we gave you some franchise to call. We then asked you for a qualification summary, which gave us your history and background. It gave us a financial statement, gave us permission to run a background check, credit check, and references. Now, y'all walk with me for a minute. Do you think there's a lot of people that we don't invite to Waco, Texas after we get that stuff? Yeah, there's a lot. This will be worth your trip. If you don't run a background check on people, we've got them from bank robbers to child molesters, all right? And so if you don't run background checks, you don't know who you're hiring, am I correct? We're not going to bring somebody down here who doesn't have access to the Capitol. I don't want to show them what we can do for them, break their heart. It's like taking a sucker from a baby. And so there's a lot of people we turn down right here, all right? If you've got past this and you're here, today you've been observed. We watch behaviors. We watch how people take notes. Are they on time? Are they late? How do they pay attention to in the session? And so, now, also, I'm going to go 2 forms in a minute called a franchise assessment and franchise evaluation form. These are the last 2 forms you need to send back to us when you get back home if you want to be presented to a committee, all right? And so once the paperwork comes back, it's going to come back to your franchise developer. And everybody write this down. Your franchise developer does not get to make a decision about whether or not you get a franchise, all right? You've met the people today that will make a decision. You met Robert this morning. You met me. You met the vice president or team leader for that company, and you met the operations people. We will give you one of 3 answers: yes, yes with a condition, and no. If we tell you no, it's because of all this we saw up here. If we say yes with a condition, it means we like you, but we have a condition you need to meet. I'll give you a good example. And ladies that are here, you'll appreciate this. A lot of men come down here without their wives. Go back home and say, honey, I'm going to borrow some money and buy a franchise. And the wife says what? I don't think so, right? And so what's our condition? Fly her down. And it's always interesting because when the wife comes down, she goes, well, if he'd explained it that way. Us men aren't very good at explaining things in 5 minutes, are we? And so, now, even though we say yes or yes with a condition, does that mean we're getting a business together? No, not until those 3 things happen. Last but not least, if you write the word RBS, and down at the bottom, write the word roadblocks to success. This is your tab. One of the things that we know when you leave here is that there's what I call a gauntlet. I also call it the field of obstacles that you have to go through. And quite frankly, a lot of people when they leave here can't go through them because of something I shared with you earlier. If you're not 100% committed to the accomplishment of your dreams and goals and building the kind and size of business to make that happen, you won't get through these roadblocks. So let me share with them what they are. I wish you didn't have to go through it. I did. When I bought a franchise, you're not going to get away from it. First one's family. B for banker, accountant, attorney, negative franchise, profile, contract or agreement. One of my favorites, I'm going to put PIR, stands for people in this room. Last is fear. Let me do that for everybody again. Family, banker, accountant, attorney, negative franchise, profile, contract, people in this room, and I left one out. I'm going to write right there, profile. So I'll start with the family. Am I the only one that my family tried to talk me out of going in business for myself? Anybody else go through that? They do, don't they? Why do they do that? How many of them were highly successful business people? None. None. Catch that? Most people try to talk us out of us didn't have the guts to start their own business. And so they're fearful for us, right? I have a joke, but it's a serious joke. My family found out how dumb. They found out that Mike wasn't as dumb as they thought he was, all right? And so it bothers me because I watch people leave here and they got all their dreams and goals and they let family talk them out of it, all right? And so don't let that happen because I'm telling you, you can change your family's life and it will change them if you go against what they want you to do. I call these the big 3, the banker, the accountant, and the attorney. We need them, right? I need to what? I need them to loan me money. I need to help me stay in legal compliance. I need the accountant to help me pay the least amount of taxes legally at the end of the year. Sometimes they do something they shouldn't do. They want to give you an opinion about whether or not you ought to get a franchise. Anybody have that happen yet? You bet. I walked into my banker, he's a good friend of mine, wanted to borrow money. Good credit, good assets. He said, I'm not going to loan it to you. And I said, why not? He said, I don't think that's a good business. I said, I didn't ask you for your opinion. I did. He said, well, I'm not going to give it to you. And I walked over to the president, got that money from the president of the bank. And so, how many bankers, accountants, and attorneys do you know that have researched the Dwyer Group, know your strengths and weaknesses, what systems you have built in your company, and what you have to do to build a highly successful business? Know any? They're rare. There are some out there. Don't let them step in and steal. Keep them in the realm of their expertise. Don't let them give you their opinion about what you ought to do. Negative franchise. Please write this down. All franchise companies in the world have 3 kinds of franchise: very good, good, and not good. Now, I want to say this. Not good is not a bad person. The not good person has not implemented the system and isn't getting the results. When somebody joins us, there's something we don't know, and that is we don't know what baggage they bring with them. So some of my best franchises today that are very good started out as not good. We had to really push them to get them to implement the system. And so I watched some people talk to 1 or 2 negative franchise, talk to 2 or 3 positive franchise, make their decision on who? Negative. You know, that's okay with me, all right? What bothers me is this. When that negative franchise became positive, how many people did he talk out of joining us? All right? Profile. You're going to get a copy of your profile today. I did put it in there. What's your profile? What is a profile? Okay, all right. Everybody took the profile, didn't they? All right. You'll get a copy of it today. Write this down. It's your dominant behavior patterns. We're all conditioned by the time we're 18. Some of it's good and some of it's not. We have to set goals to change it. But what happens sometimes is that a lot of the conditioning we get isn't good, and it's hard to face. I've sat down with people with their profile, and I said, the odds of you and I getting in business together are very slim because it shows you don't trust people, you don't let people get close to you, you're too analytical, you're slow to make decisions. Unless your dreams and goals are more important than that, you're going to go home and do what? Overanalyze it and give in to the behavior, all right? And so when you see your profile, remember their strengths and weaknesses. Don't let your weaknesses steal your future. Set goals to change them. All right? Because the decision you're making is, do I want to give up my dreams and goals, or do I want to give up my behavior? And most people will do what?
Give up their dreams.
Gives up their dreams and goals. Contract and agreement. Anybody in this room seen a contract or agreement you agree with? No. I actually had a person say yes once. I said, you did? And he goes, yeah, I wrote it. And so, what is a franchise agreement, by the way? It's a legally binding document. All right, I want everybody to write this down. It's a agreement of compliance. We're building a national brand together. You're just all agreeing to do the same thing. And I got some teeth in there to go against a franchise if they're messing up the brand. Don't you want us to do that? Absolutely. It's funny, I watch people, they'll find one thing in our contract they don't like and not join us. How many of you have heard of multi-franchise owners? A few? All right. Do you know there's a whole organization, they have a conference every year, they have a magazine, that there are people that own 2, 3, 4, 500, 1,000 franchises? All right. And I always think it's interesting. They can't make a decision to buy one when other people can make a decision to buy several hundred. People in this room, outside of the people you came with, you didn't know each other, right? Yeah. I have people bond while they're here, total strangers. Go back home and talk each other out of it. That's okay with us. If you can met somebody that you never knew, talk you out of your dreams and goals, you're probably going to have more problems than you really think in business for yourself. Last but not least is fear. Anytime you do something new, involves risk, involves change, involves money, there is what? When does it go away? Never. It does go away when you quit doing what? Quit taking risks, investing money, making change. But anytime you do something new, Are you all doing something new? Okay. Investing money? Risk?
The greatest fear is fear of failure.
Yep. One of my favorite sayings is, fear knocked on the door, I answered it, no one was there.
Exactly.
And so, when fear surfaces, remember that it's natural. It's a normal behavior, all right? Now, why do you think we share this with you?
It's realistic.
Yeah. How many of our franchises almost didn't become franchises because of that? Almost all of them. Remember this, we are here to help you get through this. I know you got good people around you, but you don't have a lot of people committed to helping you do this. Am I correct? That's why we're here. And so we have tremendous franchises. I love going to the annual convention and meeting franchises who have this great business. And I remind them they came about that close not to doing it. All right? And so remember that when you go back home. We're here to help you get through this. Last but not least, if you would, turn to a tab in your book called Forms. There are 2 forms. These are the last 2 forms you need to send back to us when you get back home. All right? The first one, if you'll notice, says a franchise self-evaluation. Looks like this, has 2 columns. Okay, on one side it says training, the other side it says personal. Okay, either write this down or mentally grab it. Grade the personal as you see it. But please write this down. Grade the training based on how much training you've had in each area. All right? Grade the training based on how much training you've had in each area. And so all we're looking for is where are you strong, where do you need to set goals to grow, need to learn some more things. And by the way, I don't want to see a 5. Even though it says 1 to 5, 5 means what? Yeah, I know it all, right? And so the next one looks like this. Am I correct? Now that you're way back from us, now how do you feel? All right? If you like us, when would you come back to training? We have a list of questions here. In a minute, we're going to sit down and answer any questions, but I know as soon as you get 10 minutes away from here, you're going to think of what? Questions you forgot to ask us, all right? So write them down. There's even an evaluation form on the back. I hope you've all learned this today, that we're going to go out of our way to make sure this is a good fit for you and for us. So these are the last 2 forms you need to send back into us when you get back home if you want to be presented to a committee. Now, would everybody agree with me it's Saturday? Okay. Now, please write this down. We want these back by Monday noon. Doesn't mean we're getting in business together. What it does mean is we want to know which way you're leaning towards us. If you're not leaning towards us, it's okay. We have other. If you're in this room, you already know we're talking to other people in your area. All right? And so if you're not interested, then we're going to go ahead and invite people down. On the other hand, if you are interested, we're going to hold off on bringing some people down until we make our final decision. So these last 2 forms that you need to send back into us by when? Monday noon. If you're driving or flying, folks, these only take 15, 20 minutes. All right? So if somebody's driving, fill it out. If you're flying, you'll have time to do it. I want to leave you with this before I leave, and we'll sit down with you and answer questions. Although you're going home and making a decision about a franchise, I want to change your decision just for a minute. If you become better business people, use more of your potential, become more goal-oriented, make more money, learn how to treat your customers better, grow your technicians, make more money to give to your church and your community, be able to learn more to share with other people. How many lives got changed? Okay. Who's going to change those lives if you don't? I tell people when I got a franchise, it changed my entire family life down the road. And I would hate to see what would have happened if I hadn't have done that. So remember, this is not just a decision about you, it's also a decision about all those around you and the lives you can change. So let me wish you a safe trip home. I know everybody's waiting out here. I'm going to sit down and get your questions answered. I wish you all a safe trip home. Thanks.
Some of you didn't get a book earlier, so I said, I'd bring them to you. Who else needed one? Okay.
What? Thank you, sir.
Good.